Hello everybody, hope you're all doing well. My name is Steven and this is the Storytime channel. We've got some I Don't Work Here Lady stories today, so let's jump right into our first story of the day by wereallredhere. Wiper? Google can help you. So I needed a headlight bulb for my car and I went to generic chain auto parts store after work. My work uniform is a generic red polo and tan tack pants, black boots. The same as the auto parts store. I also had my earbuds in for music. Since I have a medical condition, I usually have my service dog with me, but it was a quick trip, so I figured I'd be okay without him and using music to help me. I go to the headlight section and I'm Googling what kind of bulb my car needs. Enter Karen. Excuse me. I think she just needs me to get out of her way to get whatever she needs or to pass, so I back up and move a few steps away from her. Excuse me. This time I think she's wanting to pass me, but social distancing is a thing, so I decide to take a lap around the aisle. Excuse me. It's louder this time. Maybe I'm not walking fast enough, so I speed up. She grabs my shoulder. I don't particularly care for being touched ever, and certainly not by strangers in a store. I duck/dodge, pulling away from her, then stare appalled. I need you to help me find a wiper. I don't work here, but they're right here. I drove a 2017 Honda. I don't work here. Just because you took your name tag off doesn't mean you don't work here, so I have a Honda Pilot, I need a wiper. I start to just walk away. Karen grabs my arm. I'm talking to you, you can't just walk away. Lady, I don't work here. The front can help you, Google can help you, I cannot. You obviously work here, you're wearing the uniform. I try to just walk away again and she grabs my arm, so I start screaming. This got the attention of someone who actually works there. Worker says, "What's going on?" I'm being assaulted by this woman because I don't work here and I can't help her. You work here, you're wearing the uniform, you're being incredibly rude, you need to help me. I'm calling the cops. You assaulted me, this place has video cameras and you continued to assault me. At this point, the manager walks over. Karen continued to yell at him about how I definitely work there and how rude and unprofessional I am. I reiterated that I do not work there. Karen yelled more and I just walked away, leaving the manager to calm down the Karen. I got my headlight and left. No, I didn't end up calling the police, but I would have had no issues doing so. I chose to get home to calm down, and since I can now laugh about this, so can you. So let's say this was you and Karen grabs your shoulder in the store and starts accusing that you are an employee and that you need to help them and that you're ignoring them. Would you argue with them? Would you just straight up call the cops? What would you do? Let me know in the comments below. Our next story is by Thehobostabbyjoe. Eat my arrangement. I once applied and interviewed for a delivery job at Edible Arrangements. I was really hopeful as I thought I had a very good chance at the job. I was told that if I was hired, I'd be started on not that Monday, but the next one, about 10 days ahead, and that they'd call when they decided. 12 days later, I got a very angry call from the manager of Edible Arrangements asking where the heck I'd been when I was supposed to be working. Apparently, they'd forgotten to tell me I was hired, but expected me to show up anyway. I was called in to get chewed out until I showed my phone that showed I hadn't been called by them since the day before the interview. She then said I should have assumed I had the job and been there with or without the call. Said I could have my job back if I apologized for being so irresponsible. I left. Yeah, I'm definitely with OP on this one. I would be getting right out of there. If you can fulfill the job's duties, that's great, but you can already tell that this management is gonna be the worst. Just no sticking around for that. Would you guys have done the same? I think it's pretty reasonable. The next story is written by rusticpitts. Careful, I'm armed. This happened about 1 year ago. Now all the dust is settled, so I can spit it all out. Me is me, W is wife, S is son. Karen is, Karen. About a year or so ago, I and my wife purchased a third home for rental income. I'm a 6'4" male of Moroccan/Middle Eastern descent. I'm commonly mistaken for Latino or light-skinned African American. This will be an important fact later on. So we were at a Lowe's in Pacoima. To my delight, there was a darker Moroccan kid working behind the paint counter. Very helpful, nice, respectful kid, maybe in his early 20s. So the family swings by Lowe's to pick up some stuff to start on the new house. My wife was picking out tile with my son. I was talking to the kid behind the paint counter. An older Armenian man came up and asked the kid to get something down. The kid had a line of people, so I told him, "Don't worry, I'm tall enough, I'll grab it." The guy was very grateful. I walked back to the counter to pick up my order. I began loading it on my cart, and boom, there it stood in all its glory, a wild Karen. Taken in on the kid who said nothing. And it goes like this. "Lady, the line's in front, but pickup's here." "Oh great, another one of you people work here. Okay, I need you to take this to my car." "Hey kiddo, happy Ramadan, and I'll see you at service." I turn and this sharp pain twinges my shoulder. "Lady, watch yourself, don't do that again. You won't like the outcome." "Listen here, Juan, load my stuff or I'll get your manager. Now, lazy border jumpers. I hate these people." "Really, watch yourself, lady. I don't work here and you just committed simple assault." "Okay, I'm sick of your kind. I'm going to get the manager." "You do that, princess." By that time, my wife and kid came and I was loading up the second flatbed. After getting some brushes and rollers, we headed to the cashier. Karen says, "There he is. He was the one that shoved me. I want him arrested." The store manager turned white. I had given him a speeding ticket and cut him a break the day before because he was late. "Call the cops now. I want him fired and arrested for assault." Store manager says, I can't do that." He looks at me and says, "I'm so sorry, Lieutenant." Karen then realized she had made a mistake. To cover myself, I called my chief and he sent a car out. What? This lazy Mexican a-hole won't help me and you say sorry to him?" In walks another lieutenant and a detective. They both say hi, ask me if I'm armed, and I say yeah. They ask me if I'm okay, I say yeah. They look at Karen, then ask for the security tape. Everyone is pulled off the store floor and Karen has no idea what's about to happen. I'm not a normal cop. I live in the neighborhood I grew up in. I own property in the neighborhood I grew up in. I treat everyone with respect. I serve my community, always have. This lady wasn't from my community. As we are sitting in the manager's office, the office girl says hi to my wife, said hi to me, and told me thanks for helping her dad. Karen screams there, "I thought you worked here." I stayed quiet. Another kid, I actually dropped him off at Lowe's because his car broke down, came in and asked, "Lieutenant, you okay?" I said, "Yeah, of course." Karen was promptly handcuffed and walked out to the car. She then yelled out that I had a gun. The detective said, "He is supposed to. He is a cop." I got on duty the next evening. I was called to talk to a detective. They wanted to know if I provoked the attack. Did I draw my weapon at any time? I, of course, said no. I told them to finish interviews at the store, to take a look at the camera footage. They already had, but Karen stated I drew my weapon and egged her on. They had to ask the question. Well, Karen got 3 months for assault and 3 years probation. It could have been worse. She could have pulled that on a gang member around there, who still has more respect than Karen. Be good to each other, guys, and know your rights. If you are in doubt of anything on a stop with law enforcement, ask for a supervisor. Black Lives Matter and all lives matter. I'm a human being and a devout Muslim before I'm a cop. Well, it sure got worse and worse and worse for this Karen. First, she thought this employee just wasn't working for her. Then it turns out they have an issue with their dumb antics and she has to deal with that. Then it turns out that it was a police officer. It just keeps spiraling downhill very quickly for this Karen. Our next story is by The Fallen God. I was not robbed for not working there. The story begins a couple of years ago. I was in a supermarket, more specifically in an OXXO. I don't know if in any other country there is an OXXO. buying chips and soda when I see a strange guy who approached me and asked me a couple of things. I told him that I didn't work there, but I would gladly help him. I helped him find a couple of things, he thanked me and left. I took my things and being in the box, I see the guy again and I hear him scream, "This is a robbery, all hands up." At that moment, I was very scared. At that moment, the guy sees me and tells me, "You can go, friend, thanks for the help." And without thinking, I left the place running as fast as I could in my entire life. I did not know what happened next. I just know that I am very grateful for not having to pay for my snacks. Honestly, I don't think it's the not paying for your snacks that you should feel lucky about. It's the fact that they try to do a robbery and let you just run away, scot-free, not involved in it at all. I feel like that's the thing you should feel good about. I don't know about security cameras, but it also might not look great for OP because it seems like they're helping them, and then right when the robbery goes down, they get to just leave right away scot-free. And I don't think OP showed back up, so it's almost a little incriminating. The next story is by OoglyPie69. Lady dents my car because I won't help her? Okay, so I got a 2010 S197 Mustang GT for around $5,000 and I wanted to modify it. My dad is a manager at a mechanic shop, so he lets me use the tool at the shop. I put my car on the lift to access the bottom of the car. When I'm about to start, I hear the front door slam shut and I hear dumb lady talking about getting an oil change for her car, a 2006 Honda Civic. The desk person sends her back to find an open mechanic. When she starts walking back, I go back to work on my car. She saw me looking at her coming back to the work area and go to my car to work on it. Then when she came in, she walked over to me and tapped me on my shoulder, saying, "Excuse me, but I saw you staring at me and then you found a car to work on, so you don't have to work on my beautiful car." I responded with, ma'am, I don't work here, I'm just... Then she cuts me off and says, yes you do, you're back here working on cars, so you obviously work here." I'm just here working on my own car. Go ask someone that works here. Sorry. "I want to talk to the manager and get you fired because you're too lazy to do your job and you're too young to own a car like that." The 2010 Mustang GT I got around $5,000. At this point, I just go along with her story and pretend I did work there, so I said, "Fine, you got me, I do work here. Do you want me to call the manager here?" Dumb lady with a smirk said, "I knew it, you lazy butt." So I whipped out my cool iPhone 5 and called my dad, the manager, and it went like this. "Hey, I have a lady down here wanting to talk to you, can you come down here?" Dad says, "Yeah, sure, no problem. I'll be there in 5. "Okay, cool, see you then." Hangs up. He said he'd be here in 5 minutes. Dumb lady says with a smirk, "You're gonna lose your job." My dad arrives and I wave at him through the garage door and he walks in and asks the lady, "What seems to be the problem here, miss?" "This a-hole tried to get out of work trying to say he does not work here and trying to claim this car here as his." Pointed to my deep black Mustang. Dad smirks and asks, "Would you like the a-hole removed from our lot?" "Yes, at this moment, and he be fired." "Oh, I forgot to tell you, my son doesn't work here, he just uses the shop for his cars, and that car is in fact his. I went with him to get it." Dumb lady, dumbfounded with her head getting redder and redder every second, picks up a wrench and just throws it at me. I dodge it and it ends up hitting my car, leaving a dent in the side of it saying, "Screw you, all of you." She tried to leave, but the workers blocked the doorways, and most of the workers are about 6 foot each and bulky. It only takes about 10 minutes for the cops to get there, and before they went to the back, the front desk showed the footage before they entered. That's about it for this story, and I sadly don't have my Mustang as I sold it off and got a Jeep. Dumb lady got charged with damage to personal property, and I gave my side of the story and I haven't seen her since. I'm really surprised that the customer was even allowed in the back of the shop. You almost never, you might be able to see a window where you can see into the back of the shop, but actually being around the cars, being around the lift, at least being able to talk to people in that vicinity, that's pretty uncommon. And our final story of the day is by Ghost Lamperto 2. She never gave me the job, so why is she phoning me to come in and accusing me of not turning up for work? When I was in college doing catering and hospitality in my first year, I looked for a summer job in a kitchen to gain experience and earn a little money and paying for textbooks. I see an advert for kitchen worker at a play area which was paid $7.50 an hour for 16 hours a week. I leave my CV with cover letter. Few days later, Carl phones. She's the manager, asks me to come for an interview and do a work trial if the interview is successful. I go for my work trial, say Monday, and in my opinion, I did what was asked and cooked meals, cleaned as I went, and done first in, first out labeled their fridge. Enters employee who's 18 and was pleasant, however, she made me uncomfortable with, "I never really know when the burger is cooked, I just serve it as my mom cooks at home." I must have looked dumbfounded. At the end of the work trial, I went home and waited for a phone call. Fast forward a few days and I get a call from Carl saying, "Listen, sorry you weren't successful," which I was down about but kept optimistic but understood. So I find out from my friend D from college had been successful, however had to decline due to finding out she was pregnant at the time. So I'm in college at 9 a.m. during a lecture and my phone goes off, which I ignore as I don't know the number. After my lecture of front house service, I go home and see that I have a voicemail. The voicemail consisted of, "Hey Al, it's Carl here. You know, from kids' play area. You were meant to start your shift today and you left us without a cook and I had to shut the kitchen because of you. You've not made a good first impression." So since it's only 3 p.m., I phone the kids' play area, get a receptionist and ask for Carl. I hear the receptionist whisper it's L on the phone. Carl was beyond raging at this point, shouting I should have been at work instead of being at college, blah blah. 10 minutes of being shouted at. I ask if she's done. Carl is like, "What?" I politely remind Carl that you told me a few days earlier that I wasn't successful in getting the job and gave it to my friend D, so you've confused me with her. Oh boy, Carl was not for having it and claimed I was meant to start even though I said if I was successful in the interview I'd need set days due to college. I politely told her to never call my number and she couldn't use me for free labor as Carl's view was experience was the pay in her eyes, even though the advert said $7.50 an hour. Find out from D that she'd had the same call and assume that she called me to get free labor like she'd been doing for 2 weeks, hosting trials, but never giving jobs. The place was closed down within 3 weeks due to health and safety. So I guess I dodged that bullet and Carl. It was the first interview and trial I've ever experienced and ruined it for me, having a middle-aged woman lose her mind over the fact that I never turned up for a job I never got. It's already one thing that this manager went and hosted these fake trials with no intention to actually hire new employees to get free work, but to tell somebody that they did not make the cut, and then continue trying to get even more free labor out of them, something definitely doesn't add up. But with that being said, that's all the time we have for today, so if you have a favorite story of the day, let me know which story and why in the comments down below. But besides that, if you enjoyed the video, please consider giving it a like, and subscribe and turn notifications on if you haven't. All of those things help the channel grow immensely, so thank you no matter what you did. Whether you just watched the video, whether you liked, subscribed, whatever you did. Thank you all so very much for supporting me right here on the Storytime channel. That said, I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I'll see you all next time right here.